I'm Antonio De Pasquale. I'm Creative Director at Frog. It's a pleasure to be here. So today I will introduce you how artificial intelligence can improve the user experience and change the way we approach design. So since the topic was AI, I thought maybe I could ask Siri to help me in doing this talk. And I asked, can you present this talk for me? And actually, at the first step, at the first reaction, I was surprised. But again, after a few questions, sadly, it's clear that it's still my job to present on stage. So this is just a simple example that shows you that despite the hype on automation, when we speak about artificial intelligence today, we're still far away from bot autonomy. But we're working to bring this evolution on our design on the everyday product. So today we will discuss about how we can improve smart object of today's life. And we will discuss also how artificial intelligence is really connected to the overall service design, creating what we call smart experience. And actually, the last part will be on how it's changing the process we use to design services and products today. So during the talk, we will pass through 3 different moments. The first one will be focused on the different types of artificial intelligence and the future evolutions. And then we'll move on to the transition from customer journey to smart service experience. And of course, the last part will be on how we can do this on our daily job in creating product design. So sometimes, you know, in technology can look like magic. So I really like this quote because it's always present, even today. We always have in mind references from sci-fi movies. And today what is happening is that many of that vision of the past are coming to life. And maybe in a less spectacular way, but still they are part of our everyday objects. So, for example, when I was a kid, I used to dream about jumping on my favorite smart car, Kit. How many of you knows? I mean, I think it's some part of our life. And actually, probably, I will have the chance to drive a Tesla that is already in autonomous level 3 in the driving mode, and it is real. And then personal robots. So I like the presentation from yesterday. So these cute robots, they are not just ideas now from Disney movies, but they are already commercial product that potentially we can put in our apartment. For example, Jibo is one of the most famous kickstarting robotic projects. Now is ready for shipping in these days. So even our apartments now are controlled by objects that are so smart that they know our behavior, that they also take probably care of our daily life, like Nest, like the Google Home, or the various Apple HomePod devices. So the question is, what is artificial intelligence for real? So artificial intelligence is the science of development computer system able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. And like, for example, the ability to detect visual perception with the image recognition. For example, speech with natural language processing. And also use machine learning technologies to understand human behavior and detect our verbal expression and intention, potentially even gesture. But today, artificial intelligence is something that is also embedded in already very tiny objects, wearables, that are part of our daily life. So actually, I'm very happy also that Chris presented yesterday the 3 stages of artificial intelligence. So probably it's already clear to all of you. But I'm just repeating again that we're discussing about the 3 levels. So the narrow, artificial, the more vertical, then the general, at the level of a human brain. And then, probably in the next years, in the future, the super artificial intelligence, superhuman level. So actually, the focus of today is discussing about the narrow. So every day is becoming more accurate, and we're also accelerating the ability to detect and understand all different patterns in an autonomous way, like, for example, face recognition. This experiment today is a simple toolkit that you can install, and actually it's accessible to everyone for experimenting. And you can use it in a real project. And also, we are expanding the ability to really understand different languages, not just in English, but every country can develop it, and the software already prepared. But on the road to a more general intelligence, we are trying actually to push the boundaries of artificial intelligence with many ongoing experiments. For example, it's very interesting the idea of making decision in autonomous driving operative system, or for example, to simulate a real sound, and in this case, for example, for the first time, passing the Turing test. And another experiment was also to create an emotional and empathic interfaces like the one that you can see in the bottom for customer care, with the ability to understanding human emotion as well. And in this year, we're also creating what is the foundation of the next level of artificial intelligence. So we're already introducing dedicated hardware. So NVIDIA is working on that. And actually, also many people are starting discussion about having a potential risk and opportunities of a superhuman intelligence in the future. But until then, our work is still needed, luckily. After dreaming this futuristic scenario, the question is, how can we use narrow artificial intelligence in our everyday projects and improving people's lives and making also happy clients as well? So we all know that user experience is already a collection of multiple disciplines, but creating cross-platforms solution will need, again, probably new abilities that we need to learn as a skill set as designer, from service design to data science to design strategy, and of course, artificial intelligence as well. And designers are the experts probably today in managing, as you can see, complex scenario. So referring also to the slide that you saw before in the Microsoft ecosystem, actually we are shaping cross-touchpoint experience, and we are trying today, every day, creating more fluid transition across different devices and platforms, from my smartphone to a retail shop, or to an interior, or to a different laptop or another device. And actually, these devices are growing a lot. There are many IoT devices coming in the next years. And in many cases, actually, and probably you have already experienced that in real life, the customer journey, the business process, or many technology issue, they are frustrating users. They stop processes because there's a manual approach to solve this problem, and there are other complex applications that are disconnected. And actually, they are creating multiple pain points in the complex end-to-end journey that we are expecting to managing. So probably it's happened to you as well many times, but now the big news is that clients are saying, no problems. Now we have artificial intelligence, so it will solve everything. And yes, actually, the point I will ask them directly, do you really need a super advanced artificial intelligence? Or what's the level of smartness that you need now? So as you can see, devices, they can have different level of intelligence. And sometimes, in most of the cases, you don't need a general intelligence to manage all the possible requests that you need to know for your specific product or for your specific experience. So before arriving to a smart agent able to conversate with you on anything, actually probably it's more important to have an agent able to solve a specific task in a specific customer journey. So, and because we are releasing an MVP approach to that, and also we are trying to evolve internal competencies at this stage, what I'm saying, it is fundamental to start trying embedding artificial intelligence in products, even if they are not completely able to solve all problems. But if you don't start right now, actually you'll be already out of the competition. So designers as well, no? They must start reinventing, redesigning what is the customer journey by introducing, in this case, the ability of artificial intelligence in the service design approach to reconnect the steps in a different way from what we're designing today. So whatever project we are doing actually is fundamental using more autonomous and intelligence. And actually what I'm trying is to introduce you a framework that can help you in understanding how to proceed step by step. So, for example, the first question I'm asking to myself and to all the team of designers, what kind of content do I need as an input for my smart agent? So, and actually, this will support me in understanding what kind of parameters I really need to shape the next step. The second question I ask me is, what kind of condition can trigger particular computational activity? There will be for sure some specific event that will help me in going in the next step. And second point is, since we are not able to have an artificial intelligence that is capable of taking autonomous decision, can I limit or can I find a way to create more autonomous decision based on particular parameter? So how I can set the rules for a machine that it can be automatic? And the last point is actually which are the boundaries of my journey. In this way, I know the limit of the application, and I know also how I can stress the connection between the different steps. So, step back. The framework, it's, again, only one way of approaching the solution. But of course, you need to experiment and to practice to really arrive to what is your desired outcome. The next step will be really jumping in understanding how we can do it in our daily job. Actually, there will be 4 different topics that affect our daily activity. And actually, we're starting from service context to the interaction model, to the training environment we need to have in place, and also to data mining that will support us in taking decisions. So let's suppose, for example, to be in a situation where we would like to interact with an automatic, futuristic Uber service. Not really futuristic, I think. So, for example, we need to think about the context. And in this particular case, the question is, in which context are we working? So, are we creating an interface for moments where actually we are indoor and more private, for example, in our apartment, and eventually calling the car? Or it's about a service that will be executed also outdoor, when we are maybe with a microphone and still understanding what is the position of the car. So actually, there are different types of interaction model that we can apply according to the different contexts. So start using a voice-based conversation, or maybe direct text messaging, because sometimes I don't need to use the voice. I can just write a message, arrive here. Or eventually, if I'm in a public space, I can use gesture to move something I don't want to speak because other people will be around me. Or eventually, I can also have open conversation when something is very accepted or are maybe simple and common commands. So think about the context of your specific touch point when you are designing a solution that will include artificial intelligence and natural language recognition. So let's jump on another example. So one big point regarding interaction is how we interact with smart object. So let's imagine, again, that we're going to have a Jibo robot. This is the one I was mentioning before in our apartment. So which model should we use to interact with him? At the first stage, you may think that sometimes it's only voice control, the best one. But actually, it's really depending from what kind of application I'm developing for it. So, for example, there will be still the possibility to have haptic controls if it's presenting something directly on the screen. So I'm going to have the possibility to swipe and choose, let's say, on the face of the boat, what are the different cards I would like to interact or buy and purchase. And there will be also a gestural recognition, because maybe I will not be able to speak, or I'm far away from the microphone. Or the next level, if I'm playing with virtual or augmented reality, I can directly have maybe a control with my mind, so sensors that can trigger particular behavior. So actually, again, on the distance that we are maintaining between our devices and artificial intelligence, it's really interesting which interaction model will make us switching from, let's say, touching things and switching faster to the natural user interface. So, and again, my point is also, which is the best personality of the bot that will get him closer to you, that you want to really engage in conversation. There are really interesting experiments. For example, the one from Automato, Simone Rebadengo was working on also understanding how a machine can take autonomous decision, but also the ability to really try to have empathy with user according to different parameters. And actually, for me, the big point is really bringing humanity, empathy, in the scripting of the conversation. And this is part of the UX. So, and this, it can help us. It can help user in the transition from screen-based interaction to vocal or text and gestural-based interaction with artificial intelligence. And again, the next step is actually working for training the artificial intelligence service. So this is a very complex part, especially for designer. In the past, it was mostly affecting the technology side of that. But designers today, they have the ability, and they have many platforms to test specific flows. So, for example, we have the ability to really shape interaction condition using, for example, platform like the one offered by Google, the API.ai, that can help you to show all the different options in training the particular parameter that will trigger specific condition. And actually, you have also a visual interface that you can play with. And this actually is substituting what was in the past the physical or digital controls of the UI. And now, verbs, adjective, they are part of the scripting, and they are the UI. And connected to this, also prototyping tools are changing, because I can prototype a sequence of screens. I can prototype animation that, of course, will help me understanding a transition. But how I can prototype a conversation, how I can simulate a dialogue. And actually, already, they're starting a new platform like Boot Society that help you to really recreate a script for creating different types of conversations. And also, it will help a designer to experiment with without having too much tech knowledge, but still try to simulate that kind of humanity that really will bring artificial intelligence closer to customers. And similar to what was actually 7 years ago with the different OS platform for mobile, Android, iOS, and then the Windows one. Actually, the fragmentation today on the artificial intelligence platform is still creating complexity on how you can execute the same experience across different touch points, but also across different services. And this, for me, it means that we don't have to stop in tailoring the experience, because by training a platform and also prototyping the design, this can really help us to create a better solution for the journey we want to deliver to our users. And the last step, again, now is focused on now we can use real data to support this intelligence to discuss and to have parameters to talk with us. So let's imagine, for example, the case of the daily mix of Spotify. Actually, what's interesting for me is that deep learning is able to capture complex patterns from terabytes of data. And it's able also to clustering them, making sense of them, finding patterns that are not able for human. I mean, we were not able to understand them. But actually, even if a machine can help us capture a pattern like this better than a human, as designer, we still have the opportunity to have a look at the big picture, at least for today, and understand where and in which form we can display this parameter, because the value is not enough. What is our role is understanding the space of the conversation, the shape of the conversation, and what kind of information we can bring back to the user in order to make sense of our design. So really, don't lose the big picture. It's not about displaying just a text string or a parameter in an interface. It's really about making sense of the intelligence that now we have. And making, again, this intelligence works well, it means also reconsidering the way we are connecting this touch point in the past, because it was very linear, the transition between the different touch points, but actually we are jumping on a level where we're going to have thousands of wearable devices in different situations, in different contexts, at work, indoor, outdoor, also part of the smart city. So actually, what we need to leverage then is, of course, a more integrated and at the core of the experience, artificial intelligence that will extend the journey. It will connect, re-empower, and reinforce all the steps in a seamless way, creating a smart experience. So these are just a quick recap of what I said before. So think about the context, bring humanity, tailor experience, and also really still focus on the big picture. So as you know, this design is about demonstrating how beautiful something can be. And again, in another way, all this technology today, they are just an opportunity to change life and influencing the future of humanity in a positive way. So thanks a lot. And if you want to ask me something or